Okay, I'm surprised we haven't talked about this on the channel yet, but Stop Killing Games is a very important movement that's going on right now. We're going to talk about this during the video. But pretty much, if you don't know what Stop Killing Games is, we've gotten to an era in gaming where a lot of games are only accessible online. You have to be connected to the internet to actually play it, which I think is malicious to begin with. And there's a lot of games, once the game is pretty much ended, the lifespan of the game, developers will move on to another game. This specifically usually happens with multiplayer games, but it's even worse when it's a single player game or a single hybrid game type deal. But they'll move on to the next game, and that game's pretty much useless now. This happens with a lot of sports games, specifically. Notoriously, 2K is probably one of the worst ones. But it's happening all over the place. It's not just this. And yeah, so we got a video by Bellular, who's a very, very good content creator. We're gonna hear what he has to say about it. Stop Killing Games was doomed. Now it can't be stopped. Comment down below with timestamps.
Okay, this
Let's
one's going to be fun. So, the Stop Killing Games initiative is almost over, and the last time we covered it, the European Citizens Initiative, which is the part of it that matters the most, had just opened.
This is a bummer that it's only in Europe, because I feel like we need to have some kind of, some kind of regulation in the United States. It would be nice. I feel like we're always on the back burner on that kind of thing. We see what Europe does, and then we kind of implement it later on. I wish it was, I wish we were a little bit more progressive in this way in video game culture in America, but we have our own places where we want to push our progression. All right, with these studios and stuff like that. Yeah, they do some special stuff, but I don't think a petition would even work in America these days, right? No one's gonna sign that shit.
As of right now, you've got just days to join it.
And even if people did sign that shit in America, you think they're gonna listen to that bullshit? I'm like, at least they do it in Europe, bro. They got some kind of honor that we don't have over here.
That this is your last chance to make your voice heard and hopefully prevent the games that you buy from being destroyed.
And you have to live in Europe to do this. I wish I could sign it, man.
But here's the thing. Until last week, it really did seem to be rather doomed. They needed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, over 500,000 more signatures.
Yeah.
But, well, right now, it's getting thousands an hour.
Damn, they're already at oh my god, I didn't know they were at 8,000 or 800,000. That's crazy, because last I checked, this was like a week ago, I think. I heard someone talking about it, and it was like, I think it was below 500,000. It was below halfway there. And now, damn, they're that close.
Reason why is quite funny.
The deadline's the end of the month, though. Shit.
So here's what happened. They needed to hit 1 million signatures, but after months of stalling, they only had 450k. But then, over the horizon, a savior came. That savior is pirate software.
Which is hilarious, because he did not like this. Which doesn't even make sense, because, like, I know pirate software barely at all. This topic, obviously I know him from, but also some like World of Warcraft drama back in the day. Some random shit. I don't know why. But yeah, it's like he made points about how it's not a good concept. Stop saving games, I think he's like a developer or something like that. But the points he was making didn't even seem like they applied to the concept that I thought it was. And then on top of that, the points he was even making didn't even fucking make sense. Which he seems like a very, very smart guy. So it seems like he either did not understand the situation and the concept it was, or he was purposely, and I don't know, probably not. But I mean, if he's a developer, you could see why he would have motive to put kind of a stop to this, to stop killing games. I don't know. That's just like a conspiracy that's putting my tinfoil hat on. Fuck if I know.
It's because his opposition, plus a few pinches of World of Warcraft, sparked a drama that is now surging signatures to the tune of...
Is it still going?
Over 240,000 in just 7 days.
Oh, okay.
So, time to get you up to speed. It all began last year when the darlings at Ubisoft shut down The Crew. Now, they didn't just shut down the online features, they shut down everything because, as it turns out, even the single player required the online component. That basically meant that your copy of The Crew was, no longer a thing that you could really do anything with.
Yeah.
So, Ross Scott from Accursed Farms was not a fan of this, so he started a movement. Now, you may know Ross from things like Freeman's Mind or Dead Game News, and his plan, right, was to use the law, not change.org, to actually change things here. And it certainly seems that now, a year on, he actually may succeed in a way. So basically, right,
it's crazy,
Ross believes
man.
that consumers bought a product with games like The Crew, and that product was then taken away.
Yep.
But from Ubisoft's perspective, it's rather different. They argue that they sold a license to a live service.
I hate this fucking bullshit, slimy, just scammy mentality that people have with license these days. I mean, you think back to like Photoshop and stuff like that. You could buy Photoshop and it was yours forever, right? But then they decided to implement models and different updates and stuff like that. And oh, fuck that shit. You can just have a license instead. You just constantly pay us and use it. We're going to keep updating it no matter what. I don't like these concepts of licenses. It's not a fucking driver's license that's given to you, a physical thing. It's some fucking, it's nothing. It's just words. And it really bugs me because you have some companies out there that are, this whole concept, I feel a type of way. Like, if you buy a video game, you should be able to do whatever you want with that video game. If you buy something in general, you should be able to do whatever you want with that thing, as long as you own it. Like, you're not, buying it with a loan. You're not buying it with someone else's money. You're buying it with your own hard-earned money. You should be able to do whatever you want, except for, I would say, like, copying data and selling it to people. Like, you shouldn't be able to, burn games and copy games and sell it to other people. You shouldn't be able to, like, if you don't have a video game, have your buddy give you a copy. That obviously, like, there's malicious modding and stuff like that, and then there's just normal, fan project modding and stuff. That's all fine. Like, I don't understand this concept that's so difficult that you buy something and you fucking own it, right? It fucking irritates me because it's obviously these licenses have been put into place not just to protect the companies, but to weaponize it whenever it suits them.
A service that they could simply end whenever they wanted. So put simply, what this movement aims to do is to address this grey area so that, at the very least, people would get formal clarity on what they were actually buying.
Yeah.
Best case scenario would involve something basically with more teeth. Now, this was all multi-pronged. There was a UK campaign that hit problems early on with the government claiming that existing laws already covered the issue. As for the US, well, basically, it was never an option because of already settled law. Now, because of this, stuff looked grim. But last summer, another path opened, and that path was the EU Citizens Initiative. So, this lets EU citizens propose legislative agendas.
Yeah.
And this proposal was very simple. Stop destroying video games. And what it would require certainly does sound simple. It's that any game sold in the future would have to prepare for the eventuality or the possibility of server shutdowns, that they would need to remain in a functional, playable state.
Yeah, like, for instance, you have games that already had this built in. Like, if you go and buy Halo 2 on the Xbox, you can still play Halo 2. You can't play online anymore. Unfortunately, the servers are down and stuff like that. And I think there should be a way that consumers should be able to, have their own servers and support multiplayer legally. We have situations where, like, with Modern Warfare 2, back in the day, there was a mod that was being put out where they were taking the original 2009, one of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare on cocaine, pretty much. Taking that game, giving it, updates with textures and everything, but keeping the game the same, the concept the same. And it was an amazing mod. You had to own I think it was the Modern Warfare 2 remaster or whatever it might be. And they were going to have their own servers and everything like that. And so the game went on sale. And then right when the game, the mod was supposed to launch, Activision sent a cease and desist, supposedly. And so it's just, It's crazy, bro. I think you should have the right. Like, I should have the right to be able to play Modern Warfare 2 anytime I want. And the reason they don't do this, bro, the reason that they won't allow it is because there's a lot of people that love Modern Warfare 2 so much. They think it's the greatest Call of Duty ever made. Some people think it might be. I think it is. If you're telling me if I can have, if I can just play Modern Warfare 2 with updated servers and, we update on our own as a fandom, with mods and stuff like that, dude, I will never need to go play Black Ops 6 or whatever it might be, right? Because we got the game we want, and that's the reason I think that they don't want this to slide, is because then you pretty much, your old games will cannibalize the new games you have, because your new games aren't better than your old games. So I think that's the concept. I could be wrong, but I think it's very malicious.
Now, this could be through, say, single-player access, maybe through peer-to-peer connections, opening up private server stuff. You get the point, right?
Yeah.
But actually, what's key right now is that at this point, the implementation details are actually not required. The way this works is that if it is successful, the EU will then have 6 months to respond, and if they say yes, then they will adopt a resolution. And that would guide EU activity, but it would not instantly mean a whole bunch of new super hasty laws. But make no mistake, it would actually matter. And that's because EU policy has got global impact. I mean, it's pretty obvious now. Just look at Apple and Google for one example. Now, for this, all that's needed is A, 1 million signatures, and B, a minimum threshold being passed in at least 7 EU countries, which basically just exists. So, I don't know. If the French all get together and want something that nobody else wants and only one country passes, then hey, the EU's safe. Anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
That is the challenge. Those are the stakes. So here's what happened next. Going through the requirements, the regional thresholds do seem to be quite manageable, right? Now, the million signatures is quite a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. And success there would require a multilingual international campaign.
Here's the thing, though, with that. We live in a global age where people will donate money to a kid's family after he murders somebody because of the color of their skin. And the same thing, people will donate money to a person because of the color of their skin, and that person might have committed a hateful act to a child, right? We live in a weird era, so I really don't think there should be an issue with getting signatures, because all you gotta do is sign the motherfucker, right? And be from Europe. Like, it's not that crazy. I don't know how many people are in Europe, but I'm sure there's over 1 million gamers, and I mean, dude, come on, bro. This isn't some absurd trend. This is actually something that's very important, because as of right now, I feel like video games have really been treated like they're not art for a very, 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 very long time, and it's really concerning because, we have laws in place that treat movies a certain way and music a certain way because they're art forms. And games don't get the same treatment, and it's very frustrating.
One that's actually centered on EU citizens. Who is leading it? Well, an English-speaking YouTuber with a cult following, which, I mean in a positive way, just so I'm being clear. Yeah. But basically, it's not a huge number of people. Now, this...
Yeah, I used to watch his videos way back in the day, like... I think I was in probably high school. He's made a lot of bangers that have popped up in my feed. I don't think I even subscribed to the guy, but I know who he is.
Story obviously did come through. Loads of people covered it, us included, and the early momentum was really strong. Until it wasn't. Now, this is because some things fell through. One being a planned feature in GOG's email newsletter that was tanked by that company having layoffs. Even Heineken, yes, Heineken, the beer people, wanted to include the campaign in their marketing, but only after the petition ended. But there is another one, and I think I know it's the one you want me to talk about. It's the pirate. Okay. Yep. TLDR, Pirate Software opposed the initiative. This is back when it all kicked off. So what I'll do here is boil down what I essentially think is the best case, or the best faith version of his argument, which is essentially that in very many cases, over-regulation often actually helps the incumbents. In this case, would help the AAA companies. The reason being that they would be the only companies with the resources to actually overcome the regulations.
Okay.
That is actually a fair enough, reasonable argument. But I think in practice, it's fair to say that Pirate Software, in his 2 videos, was not really steel manning his opposition. There were some errors. Wasn't really a great situation.
There's a lot of errors, because when he was talking about it he was talking about points, like he was creating points up pretty much where it didn't even seem like he knew what the initiative was about.
But really in this story, there's a key thing to remember. The initial, I'll say drama, let's just say hot public disagreement, that with Pirate happened when, let's just say, his internet stocks were in a slightly different and altogether more healthy place. Since then, he was involved in a major World of Warcraft drama, which I will cover shortly.
What is this? After what? Pirate Software calls OnlyFans a content guild built on hate. What the hell? Is this a situation where he was like supposed to cast a spell and he didn't, and he like ran away because he was like, oh, I don't have enough mana? Like this drama popped off and I was just like so confused. And there's so many YouTube dramas that I like to watch just because I'm interested. I don't really like to comment on stuff like this, but because, you know, you gotta be like, you gotta know everything about it, and then you gotta follow it through, and I don't know if I want to do all that, you know. I don't think I care that much. But yeah, this one, it's just like, it's like, it's such a millennial like drama, you know. It's like who plays World of Warcraft these days anymore? I know it was one of the biggest games of all time, but have you seen them lately? You seen the cutscenes there? Like, I saw one the other day. It looked so fucking goofy. It was like, this is what the game used to, like. I remember World of Warcraft being huge, like when I was playing Call of Duty, bro. When I was playing Modern Warfare 2, like my other buddies were playing fucking World of Warcraft, and that shit was crazy. Like, I would go into Best Buy, you see the gift cards and everything, like on that little structure thing, you know, and there would always be like World of Warcraft ones. You had the PlayStation points and the Xbox points, you know, the 12-year live and whatever. And then you would have the fucking World of Warcraft ones, and they look cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and everything I saw of like the marketing and stuff, I thought it was badass. But I didn't have a computer as a kid.
I don't like doing drama, but
what if I did?
In this case, it does actually inform how the news would play out. As for the initiative, well, by the following April, signatures were just sitting at 425k. That's not even halfway, and only 25,000 signatures had been added between April and last week.
Wow.
So it basically was dead in the water. The momentum from the previous summer had completely fizzled out. But then, with only weeks to go, Scott posted his video, and everything changed. The end of Stop Killing Games. It's a fairly dramatic, somber title for a video.
I thought he was gonna say Pirates video. Pirates was his real name was Scott. He's talking about
and one that is fair. It absolutely did appear to be dead. It was a final plea and an explainer made by a very, very tired-looking man. It was clear to me that the campaign had taken its toll. Scott admitted as much. One choice quote: "It's like asking someone with severe dyslexia to write a book report on war and peace. I am the wrong person for that job." And I think that does speak to the...
It's funny because I have dyslexia, and I have been currently writing a book about war and peace. And it's taken quite a bit, man.
Absolutely mammoth amount of work that doing anything like this would actually require. But it's not all that Scott said. He took aim at Pirate and he explained point by point, right, how Pirate's coverage was, in his view, not at all a fair representation of the overall initiative, its goals, its specific language.
Phenomenal video, by the way. I went and watched it on my own time. I'm not going to react to it. But it is, like, if you haven't seen that video, bro, go check it out. This is why it got brought back up to me. I was like, oh shit, I pretty much forgot about the whole initiative, honestly.
And I would say from my read of it, I think Pirate almost immediately jumped straight to some worst case outcomes of a maximalist version of the campaign. Of course, we can add to that an interpersonal level to all of this, you know, the usual emotional reactions, hot words. But if it was just that, if it was only that, well, what happened would not really be what has happened. So let's talk about World of Warcraft. As I said, I hate covering drama, but today it is actually relevant because...
I'm actually curious because, like, I think I know of what this is, which I thought this was, like, months ago, honestly. But, let's go. Let's go down the weeds.
Basically, it is the kindling.
Let's get into them.
What we're seeing with this initiative would not really have played out if these World of Warcraft related events didn't play out the way that they did. Because basically, this is why people were ready, willing, and even excited to hop back into the fray and to pump all of this up. So Here's the TLDR. OnlyFanked is a WoW Classic hardcore streamer content guild. That's a lot of words, but basically think of it as a reality TV show where dozens to hundreds of hours of gameplay are at stake. Because
yeah, it's wild. This is where people pretty much, if you die, your character's dead. It's gone forever and you have to restart. And it's like you're trying to get the max level and stuff like that. This kind of intrigued me. I think, when did this come out? It came out a while ago. Hardcore Classic. I can't remember. It intrigued me, but then I saw so many of the crash outs and I was like, I don't need that. I play video games to get rid of my stress. I already got to deal with, when I want to play through Elden Ring for 8th time. And even being good at the game, it's still, you just get to some spots where it's like, this isn't relieving my stress at all. Some of the sweaty matches in Marvel Rivals or whatever it might be, I just don't need more of that in my life, honestly. And I'm not the biggest World of Warcraft fan, so it would be bad. I wouldn't do good. It would not be good. This table would be probably broken, honestly.
When a character dies, it is dead.
Man.
Just that character has got lots of fans in Twitch chat and some sort of big name behind them in the form of the streamer. Pirate, along with other streamers, were doing a dungeon in this game. And that dungeon went poorly. People died, and of course, whenever they died, that means they lose their characters.
This is it. Yep, this is what I was thinking of. He's wearing the same hat.
Characters that they progressed. Okay. Now you might be thinking, so what? A World of Warcraft dungeon run went bad and people lost their characters in a hardcore server. Why is that a news story?
Because people are fucking weird, bro. It is what it is. People love what they love.
Well, there absolutely is a reason why. So it was broadly seen that he went very much every man for himself mode, trying to save his own character and really to the detriment of his teammates, a few of whom died. Now at the time, tensions were high, and those tensions were pointed at Pirate Software, both from viewers and from his fellow party members. And what followed was, I think, to put a very messy thing in simple
Please give
terms,
us a clip.
in an emotional sense, the opposite of saying, shit, my bad, I'm sorry, I absolutely could have done more there, my bad. Basically owning the L, doing so in public, and doing so in a way that feels authentic.
To my knowledge, though, because I remember when it was happening, he was obviously strategically, bantering back and forth with the people when he was just casually running away. But after the fact, there was a lot of people that were debating if what he was saying was true or not. And I thought there was actually a good reason for what he did, besides obviously just trying to save his own skin. So I thought this drama wasn't really his fault, but it's been so long since I've seen this, so maybe I'm wrong.
It feels authentic because
comment down below what you think.
Authentic. So if you ask me, what actually happened is a common downfall of very smart, very rational people. That's because very smart, very rational people can rationalize how they are very, very right and others are very, very wrong. And from that place, it's very easy to disregard how other people think.
I'm not reading this. This is fucking long as hell. God damn. All this for a video game?
To not have a holistic view of a situation. I mean, to put it in very simple terms, people thought he came off really defensive. And what all of this meant was fuel for the fire. And
I don't blame him for being defensive. I mean, he was getting a lot of hate, to be frank. I'm not trying to defend this guy. Like, I'm down with the movement, but like shit, like if you're put in the same situation, a lot of people are going to be defensive about it, especially if you're smart and you can explain why you did, or what you did. I mean, makes sense.
Abundance of fuel. And I've got to imagine that from
it's not
Pirate's
the honorable
point of view,
thing to do,
it
but
really must have looked like the entire world was against him. And I mean, in a few ways it was. It was a total mess. Or, per the dynamics of Twitch, it was an incredible content event. And the reality is that
I don't think it was better when that one guy did the griefing. He strategically put himself and do this clan in a classic, bro. I don't play World of Warcraft at all, but I do enjoy the drama of it sometimes. That shit was fucking crazy. Where he got everybody killed, almost everybody, because he had he was on a revenge tour pretty much. It was insane.
But once people are against you, it's very
That whole situation clears this by a mile.
hard to change minds, especially when, as I think Pirate was, you're feeling quite defensive and you're very much feeling the toll of thousands of angry people being very angry at you in just about every way they can.
Yeah.
Meaning that, yeah, some people were, let's just say, going beyond having just a civil disagreement.
The internet hate machine will not defeat me or the community that supports me. See you in WoW Hardcore tomorrow. I didn't die, bitch.
Now, after that point, some aftershocks followed. There was a clip of an Ashes of Creation raid pool that sparked a bit of a drama. There were then accusations of pre-watching games in order to look better on stream. There was critique of his Blizzard credentials. And
Wait, pre-watching God? What? What? The watching film?
and a whole lot of different things. Basically, he turned into somewhat of a punching bag.
Yeah.
To, I suppose, try and work through some of this, he did a session with Dr. K. I think it was a pretty enlightening one. It certainly is, I'd say, a good listen. It essentially did get into why he reacted the way he did, the way that he actually felt. I'm not going to paraphrase here too much beyond just what I've already said. That's my takeaway. So I'd recommend, if you want more texture, more understanding of this story and the social dynamics that may play out, give Dr. K's video a watch. But as it pertains to the Stop Killing Games movement,
maybe not.
I think you can see how, well, whenever there was the initial disagreement of Ross, pirate stocks were looking pretty good. But then he was involved in several major dramas. These dramas led to hundreds and hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people maybe finding out about him or having a changed opinion of him. There were a lot of videos talking about, mistakes, examining everything. And that's why right now, before this video, when I just searched for pirate software on YouTube, here's what I got. We've got the pirate software unraveling featuring a game developer, 211k views. A Josh Strife Hayes reaction, 204k views. An Axeman video, 586k views.
I haven't seen this yet. Ackman makes some phenomenal stuff. We're probably gonna have to check this one out. I'm sorry.
An upper echelon.
Wait, Battlefront 2's in it? Dude, I was playing the mess out of Battlefront 2. Oh my, reinforcements are here, baby. That game's been popping off. It seems like it's losing its the momentum it had, but dude, people, the amount of fucking videos I saw on social media about Battlefront 3 was insane. I think we're gonna get one now. Hopefully.
Video, 266k views. One from Moist Critical, 3.1 million views. And that is just the top few search results. Wow. We're talking about millions of views here.
Yeah.
Now, while so many of these were rooted in the dramatic aspect, obviously they were related to Stop Killing Games, and they all painted Stop Killing Games in a positive light.
Yeah.
And what that essentially meant is that now you didn't need to be a game preservation enthusiast to know that Stop Killing Games exists.
So you're telling me that the possibility of us actually getting decent regulations, hopefully in the future, at least in, Europe, for video games and preservation, is due to a guy having the perfect downfall and that reinsurging the energy and bringing light to this. That is crazy. That's like, bro, it's almost like meant to be,
All you needed was a passing interest in one of the larger ongoing dramas, and of course, even if you didn't have that, social media algorithms do know how to find you if you could be interested in it. All of that means a humongous megaphone, and so far, it absolutely seems it's done the trick.
So pirate software pretty much coming out against the game has actually reversed what he was trying to do completely.
From almost certain failure at 454k signatures to, at the time of writing this video, 714k, and at the time of recording, which was only a few hours later, 737k signatures. Now that basically means that they need 263k in about 30 days. And obviously, if this rate holds just a little bit longer, they'll absolutely make it. Or will they? Because here's the thing, they do actually need consistent, legitimate signatures. The reason why is fairly simple. Fake ones could be stripped out. Overexcited Americans having fun with a VPN, I don't know, could...
Jesus Christ, we might be fucked. That is crazy. Like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, how do they verify that they're actual real signatures or not? Obviously, I'm guessing you have to give them your real life information and everything like that so they can cross check it. Jesus, how long does that take, cross checking a million names to make sure that they're actually correct and they're actual residents of Europe? That seems like a lot, bro. Like, a lot. And then you don't even know if they're gonna give it a yes or a no. You know what I mean? Sheesh. This is ridiculous. Hey, but it's the powers that we have.
Probably try
Or
to
y'all
sign up
have.
for this. Wouldn't help the initiative. It would probably get scrubbed. And, well, if you're in America, you can't sign an EU petition.
No.
So it's not a guaranteed thing just yet, but it certainly is looking like it's going to pass a million.
Also, here's the thing about this. We're having a huge spike in it. And I know just by, you know, graphs and stuff like that, working with YouTube, I mean, things ebb and flow like crazy. I mean, when does this die down? I mean, I just talked about the whole movement for Battlefront 3. Seems like that's dying down now. I mean, people still want it, obviously, but like the momentum of how much people actually talk about it and make videos about it and, you know, grow the overall audience in general, which is the most important part, is to grow the audience that's actually able to sign this in the first place. So even though Moist Critical is getting 3 million views or whoever, you know, all these different views, do they live in Europe? And on top of that, are they willing to sign this or not? Because some people will be hate watching as well. And then, Jesus, dude, the fake names, I didn't even think about that. So what percentage of fake names? Because I'm sure, I don't know how exactly this works because I'm in America, I didn't sign up for it, but I'm sure there's a way where you can have fake names. And gee, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. Now, what happens if it succeeds is basically this.
Man.
The EU Commission will consider further action. That could be legislative action, or it could just be guidance on existing consumer laws.
Yeah.
Now, no matter what, the industry would have significant input, but regardless, we would get a formal statement on the matter and its legality. And that's actually a powerful starting point for future conversations and new laws. But here's the thing, it gets even better. Because those conversations have already begun, and we've already started to make progress. Through all the noise and all the drama, the core problem's fairly simple, that audiences often think they're buying a product when they buy a game, but in reality, they're actually buying licenses. Now, since October, Steam explicitly states that all purchases are...
Yeah, we talked about this back in the day. I got a lot. This is one of those videos that popped off when I was like really, really small, and I got like a shit ton of hate watchers. Actually, I think this video has like the worst like to dislike ratio out there. And the PC guys did not like my take on this, but it is what it is, bro.
Are licenses, that it's not ownership. And that was always the case. It's just that now it's no longer hidden in their EULA.
Yeah.
And Valve's timing was, let's just say, curious here. That's because California signed AB 2426, stating that any media that you can't permanently access offline must be labeled as a license.
Bro, rare fucking dub, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Stop burning the Teslas. Y'all know what to do. We need to get these video games in a better state. Dude, that's like California of all places. That's crazy, bro.
Not a product. Now, another side to this is companies seeing PR opportunities, and there's a beautiful irony. Ubisoft, yes.
Oh boy.
The very company that started this whole mess is actually taking action. That's because they're testing offline modes for The Crew 2 and Motorfest.
That's huge. That's, wow. Because it started with their game.
I think it's fairly clear that the Stop Killing Games movement inspired this. So, you know what? In certain ways, it's already winning.
I think the best situation I could see, like, I think gamers in general want, I think exclusivity is one of the biggest factors that in licenses that negatively influence the industry as a whole. And the reason, what I'm saying is pretty much, you know, if you buy a game on Steam, you only can play it on Steam. You only can play it on your computer. You can play it on your Steam Deck, and that's about it. You know, if you buy a game on the Xbox, you only can play it on the Xbox. If you buy a game on the PlayStation, you only can buy it on the PlayStation. And I get the sales and stuff like that, but I think once you get to a point where if you can buy whatever it is, a Xbox, a PlayStation, a Nintendo Switch, a PC, and you're able to access every single video game that's ever been made on Earth. And there is cross-plat support for all that. And when you buy it, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it, except for, obviously, piracy. You can't upload it for people to download. You can't send it to your friends, make copies, anything like that, right? You can mod the fuck out of the game, do whatever you want with it because you own that game. If it's an online game, you're not allowed to mod because there's cheating with that. But I would say you should have like some custom games or something like that set up where you're able to, you know, do whatever mods you want to in a lobby where it's like, oh, we all agree this is fine. Like, no one wants cheaters. This is one of the biggest reasons I don't play Call of Duty anymore. The cheating in that game is fucking retarded. It is crazy.
Now, another thing that could inspire this was an actual lawsuit, specifically a Californian one about the closure of the crew. But that lawsuit is actually facing some problems right now, and that's because of a Final Fantasy XI related precedent that lets companies remove users from games because, well, as a user, all you've bought is a license, and that can be revoked. That's a ruling that obviously plays to Ubisoft's advantage in that lawsuit, but looking at the big picture, we actually do see the developers are choosing to address these issues, and not because they're being forced to by the law, seemingly because they want to. But there are many reasons for that. It could be PR, or it could simply be because they see what way the wind is blowing.
It could be that, but I do think it's very convenient for Ubisoft to gain as much favor with the public opinion as possible, and this is a great step in the right direction. They've already made good steps with Tencent as well. I think that deal will be I think it's a good possibility that Ubisoft is going to be able to come out on top again one day. But I do think you have the same cooks in the kitchen that you already had throughout this whole process. I think that's the issue with a lot of the I think the culture in general with a lot of these companies that have been, you know, kind of fading out out of, you know, high regard of the public opinion when it comes to the gamers. I don't know what it is. It's the set leadership in these companies or the actual culture of the company itself. You know, a lot of these companies were smaller back in the day and they got bloated and overweighted. And just because you cut, like, I mean, Xbox cut 9,000 people today, right? Just because you do that, you eliminate some of the middle management, which is always usually toxic to begin with. You have the people you have. Regardless, right? So, for better or worse, the people that be making these games are the same people. So, yeah.
Something cool. Take a look at Supermove's World of Parkour. This is an indie game that failed. Legal obligations prevent keeping the online functions active, but existing owners can still play it in single player. There's another example. Whenever Blizzard Entertainment purchased Spellbreak's developer, they obviously stopped the game. But months later, they released a peer-to-peer version of the game on itch.io. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
before
cool.
all of this, Valen Studios ended Knockout City, but they made sure that private servers still would work. This is basically 3 indie teams finding a way to preserve their games retroactively.
That's awesome.
It is good shit. It matters. Now, yes, it is the case that player counts may be in the single digits, but it preserves gaming history. If a bunch of...
I don't see why people are so against that, too. It's like, if you were a gamer, you should be appreciating the game like it's art. You just, even a fucking game like Pac-Man, all right? A game like fucking, it doesn't even fucking matter. Like, people, like, there's artwork that people have been preserving for fucking years and years and years, and it's very important. These games are very important to the gamers. Like, I don't understand why people, and this is the issue. That game itself, when it is released, Modern Warfare 2, when it was released in 2009, that game itself means so much to me. You know, they remastered that game later on, the campaign and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't mean much to me compared to the original, right? And that's the problem with, I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, well, you know, let's just use Nintendo as an example. I don't know if this is exact or not, but it's easy to do because they've done a lot of real releases of their projects. You know, let's say Pokemon Crystal. I think I have that right here somewhere. Pokemon Crystal is a very old game. It came out a long time ago. And, you know, there's batteries in those that go bad. You have to replace the batteries. Eventually, that game is going to wear out because it's actual material, it's a cartridge, and they're going to go bad one day. Same things with CDs and stuff like that. I think you should have the right to preserve that by whatever means you want. You paid for that game. You should be able to have that game experience as long as possible. But there's an argument where people could, be like, oh, well, they're going to remaster Pokemon Crystal, or they already have, or they will one day. And I'm just like, to me, even if they just took Pokemon Crystal and turned it into a port and then put it on modern day technology, is that the same experience that you would have got with your GBA? No. And preserving it on the computer or whatever it might be, is it going to be the same experience you had with your GBA? No, but it's still the same game that you bought and you own. I think you should have the right to preserve that. And there, when you talk about emulation and preservation, I'm not going to say, I'm not a legal expert or anything like that. I'm not going to say you should do one way or the other, but I think it's offensive when it's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if you bought that game a long time ago, because they could come out and remaster it one day. But who knows if they do or not? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's stupid. I really think it's fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me.
People want to play one of these games together.
I know it's a completely different topic, but there's just so many different, like, with laws that are in place. It just doesn't make sense to me. I could go on and on about the whole game mechanics initiative, because, like, if you treat gaming like an art, how can you tie up a game mechanic in a God, what is it called? In a patent and stuff like that. Like, that doesn't, it's like when you paint and you're making a Picasso or whatever, the strategy, the art style, the way you paint in general, those things are important to different artists, and other artists can try to implement what other artists did back in the day and try to replicate their style and their work and in their vision, right? I think with game mechanics in general, you patenting those is corrosive, and it cannibalizes the artwork itself, because then there's other artists that will come along and they can't use that concept. They can't use that game like, I get it if it's like a story and you have, like, for instance, Lord of the Rings, you shouldn't be able to just put in a guy named, Gandalf the White, looks just like Gandalf, has the same backstory as Gandalf. You shouldn't be able to do that, right? That Gandalf belongs in his story. You didn't come up with Gandalf. Come up with your own fucking wizard, right? It's just, that kind of shit, I get it with the copywriting, but the patenting, it just doesn't sit well with me, bro. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. It's like putting a pencil on a lock and key, you know what I mean? It seems insane.
And if Stop Killing Games passes, developers would have to consider things like this, not retroactively, but from day one.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you can no longer make an MMO. You can still make Helldivers, but you'll need to sell your games correctly. You'll need to label them as what they actually are. Are they products or are they licenses? And you'd need to provide some sort of exit plan whenever servers shut down.
Oh my god, this is so stupid. It's just like so fucking stupid. Like, that doesn't even solve the fucking problem, because everyone's just gonna do licenses no matter what, except for like indies and shit like that. People that are trying to get in good graces. It's like people like that want to actually have the game on the cartridge, the game on the disc these days. Most people don't do it. It's just a fucking password. It's just a key to be able to use the game. You got to download the game off of the online no matter what. Like, he put in the game from start without the internet, it's not gonna run, right? It's just, these concepts are fucking stupid, and the reason they do the whole digital version now is just a key, is because obviously, like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's all about money and how they can save money, and who knows if they're gonna have fucking physicals in 5 years anyways. But still, it's just, I hate what's happening.
And nobody is saying that retrofitting games for offline play is an easy thing.
No.
I don't actually think that's a reason not to try this.
Yeah, you have a community out there that can... Okay, I've heard arguments where you should be able to let if you don't want to make the game online, you put the code out there, and then the community will create in offline mode with the code. I think the reason that is actually not a good idea is because of obviously piracy issues. And not just that, when you're building a video game, there's certain concepts and genius to how it flows with code or whatever it might be, right? And someone might have like a secret sauce, right? They're cooking up something really good, and they don't want their concepts to be replicated in everybody else's projects. It's like, oh, we can just look at the code from our competitor and see how they made the formula. Well, why don't we do that? Let's just, where the parts of where we think we can make our game better, copy that. Now you can copy the concepts. I think, like if you look at Breath of the Wild, like when that game came out, then every single gacha game had some kind of Breath of the Wild mechanic in it. How many open world games have some form of paraglider now? There's a lot of them. So you can try to emulate what that game did, which makes sense. We've had copycats all the time. We've had Halo clones, Halo killers, Call of Duty clones, Call of Duty. We've had this from fucking Doom clones. Like, this is ancient history. But yeah, it's whatever.
Because in many ways, the direction of travel has not been great in gaming. It's often not been great in consumer law, at least until recently. I think making progress in this realm is absolutely a good thing. And I think the idea, why not try? Well, I think that is the attitude that we need.
Yeah.
Of course, as for some of the reasons why not, you likely heard those from Pirate Software. I think most people are thinking that on balance, no, it's actually worth giving this a shot. I think the benefits to consumer awareness, consumer protections, and, well, game preservation are pretty damn good reason.
We have a problem in the industry. Multiple problems I've been ranting about. The best thing we can do is to to speak up and say what we think. Because like there's a lot of people that would probably agree with this, and they don't talk about it much at all. And that's the issue. The louder the voice, the more powerful the movement's going to be, regardless. You have a lot of, like we've seen in recent years, we have a really small amount of people that are very, very loud, and they get their way. When you have a lot of people and there's like, well, there's a lot of us that think this way, but no one's going to, who cares? We don't fucking scream it from the bottom of our fucking esophagus. You know what I mean? So yeah, just making sure that people are aware of this issue in general is a good thing. It really is. I mean, the fact that Ubisoft is, of all people, is stepping forward and doing that, I commend them. That's fucking phenomenal.
Why we should actually try. So,
yeah.
It's up to you. My question is simple. Why not give it a try? You can find the thing linked down below. And, well, if you want to see an example of consumers not being treated fantastically, Capcom, you're being naughty and it's time to call you out. You can find out all about it in this next video.
Bro, Monster Hunter, bro, that shit went hard. Wilds was phenomenal. What are they doing over there? Dude, this video was awesome. Very insightful. Bellular is phenomenal. Let's check out the comment section. But I really do think, like, there's an issue. Let's talk about it. Let's have it be well known. And I might not have the solution. You might not have the solution. But in the world, when there's an issue, just because you don't have a solution to the issue doesn't mean you don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Then nothing happens when that. It's just one of those things, man. One of those things. So we got here. We didn't need a hero to unite us. We needed a villain. Yeah. Honestly. I mean, that's how history goes a lot of the times. The UK petition passed, but keep signing it. Very important to keep going in case there's any false or invalid signatures. Oh no, for sure. Momentum to the moon, baby. As if killing games wasn't bad enough, Nintendo proved corporations can also kill hardware. Yeah, that's I didn't talk about that much because Nintendo frankly just scares me. I'm a really small creator. And they just, they're kind of crazy. They're pretty powerful with what they do. But Nintendo, yeah, I was gonna talk about this in a Nintendo review, but I could talk about it here. The fact that they can brick a system and it's actually in the license agreement, is crazy. And I know it's if you break their TOS and stuff like that, but still, it's insane. And I mean, when I went to GameStop and I was getting my I was getting, what was I was like trading in some old Switch games, and to buy some other Switch games that looked appealing, because to be fair, the Switch 2 plays old Switch games phenomenally, because I don't know how many games I played on the Switch that just did not have the frame rate to support the game, because obviously the technology was just lackluster for what the developer was trying to do with the game. And the Switch 2 is phenomenal for old Switch games, or Switch games in general. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff with the Switch that is very... Yeah, it doesn't vibe with me very much. The fact that we're still gonna get stick drift with the Joy-Cons, ridiculous. You just gotta go buy a third-party controller. But the fact that they can brick your system, that's nuts. It's not like, okay, we're gonna cut you off from internet access. I mean, like, for instance, I remember back in the day, my buddy bought a modded Wii and had like a lot of like games on there, right? He couldn't connect online, with the modded Wii, but he could play all those games he wanted to. And I mean, with Nintendo in general, there's a lot of people that probably look at it like, I'm not gonna play these games online. Like Mario Kart and Smash Bros are like the only things I could think about like I would actually like play online, but that's very, very rare. Usually with the Switch you're playing it like in person, so the ability to brick it, not just disconnect your membership or ban you from online services, to brick your whole system, to pretty much kill your system completely, is crazy to me, because you're buying a product but you don't even own it because you can't do whatever the fuck you want with it. That's insane to me. It's buying something with limitations. It's crazy. It just does not make sense to me. Phenomenal video. Let's look at one last comment. What convinced me of the unequivocal rightfulness of the campaign is when Ross reached out to Pirate to discuss the topic, and the letter basically said no. Fuck you. Damn. I didn't know. I don't recall Ross reaching out to him. I missed that part. Damn, that's wild. I wonder if that was in that video that I watched. But yeah, this is a phenomenal video. It's gone on a little longer than I expected, but it is what it is. I get a little heated sometimes. I try to stay as chill as possible. In this video, sometimes I'm a little up there, it just depends on my mood, but I think it was pretty cool, pretty chill. But yeah, hit that like button, hit the comment button, let me know what you're thinking, man. I really want to hear y'all's perspectives, because when it comes to like, this is a lot of nuance, honestly, a topic with a lot of nuance, especially since we're talking about video games, which means a lot to us, but also the regulations, the laws, and what is the future. It's a lot of these videos, people aren't gonna have solutions in them. They're gonna have concepts and stuff like that, but I would love to hear from y'all, because y'all might have some great concepts as well. But yeah, comment down below, hit that like button, hit that sub button. My name is Trey Swish. This is the Ether. Let's get to 1K, and I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Deuces.